want to thank all of you for coming this evening for our recognition event. We're very pleased to be able to honor the partners that we have had this last year that have made the success of VitalLink happen beyond even our imagination. Most of you know I have a pretty wild imagination for growth. The importance of having business partners, education partners, individuals supporting this type of program is that it's really all of those ideas, bringing them together, are what is needed for really providing students with a strong foundation in making their career choices. The role of the intermediary here in the county in bringing business and education together has been such an interesting and fascinating venture and journey for our organization, and there's no way that we could have done it without all of the support from all of you who are here this evening, as well as those that we're honoring today. The types of support that has come to the organization has ranged from financial to brain power, and all of that has pulled together to have the successful programs that we had this year.
Okay, we're at Serrano Intermediate School in beautiful Lake Forest, California. And we are here as part of the recognition celebration that VitalLink is saying thank you to all of our industry partners. Well, I am your host, Cliff Wright, and welcome to this very special edition of BeInspired Today. This woman, I can't say enough about her. Her name is Kathy Johnson. She is my former boss at Education Management Organization in Orange County, California, VitalLink. And she has been so vital in my life and in my career. And she really, God used her to change the trajectory in my life and in my career. And she is here to help you to hold on to positive expectations. We are virtual, so I wish I could give you a hug. Yeah, the virtual hug.
Air hugs.
To the show, Kathy.
Oh, thank you, Cliff. I'm honored to be here. This is exciting, and it's such a pleasure to see you again and be able to just chat and talk about life a little bit.
Amen. Awesome. You know, I met Kathy it's been about 8 years ago. And it's interesting. I don't know if you remember, but VitalLink had just opened up their new office in Tustin. And I came in with my camera crew and videoed you, interviewed you. And little did I know, not long after that, I would spend the next 5 years working underneath your leadership. And what an honor it has been. You have been such a mentor and a loving person. Hard to keep up with. You still have walk so fast and work so long. But tell our audience about Kathy Johnson.
There's a lot of years of Kathy Johnson, so I don't know if we have time. But, you know, I was thinking about it before the show today, and I thought about the time that was really very foundational to my trajectory, as you call it, my career trajectory. And it was over 40 years ago. My kids were in elementary school. And I partnered with one of the educators at that particular school, their elementary school, and we wrote a curriculum about decision making. And I was chatting with her socially, and I was saying, you know, there's something about children, if they learn at a young age how to think about consequences. And at the time, I called it sequential thinking. If I do this, then this happens, etc. And I started sharing this idea with her over dinner. And she said, would you write a curriculum for elementary school? And the premise was, the theory was, if you empower young people to know how to make decisions how to think about consequences. They would be less influenced by negative peer pressure.
Wow.
And having them say, wait a minute, if I do that, this awful thing's going to happen, right? So I don't think I want to go there. And so we decided that younger elementary, second graders, third graders in that age range was the ideal age to really start that process. So I wrote the curriculum. She edited it so that it met educational requirements, because I was not qualified to do that. And we actually implemented it within the school. They let us come in, and we did a huge project there that was the beginning of what today they call soft skills. And this was, as I said, over 40 years ago. They were not teaching soft skills in critical thinking, problem solving, that type of thing in the schools. And so we were really forefront to that. And that, to me, is, I'm going to say, the thing that if you have an idea, even though nobody else is doing it, and you know that it's good, you share it with like-minded people who have the ability, because I had no authority, credibility, education that qualified me to do what I was about to do. So I aligned myself with someone who did. She had a doctorate degree, and she was involved in the school and was employed by the school district. And with that partnership, we were able to do something that by myself, I would never have been able to pull off. And so I wasn't afraid, to put it out there in the world. And I found a like partner. That became foundational. And I worked in that school for a number of years as a volunteer parent, because it was not as a job, it was strictly as a volunteer. And then my kids went on to middle school, and I didn't volunteer in that school at that time. But I remember, must have been 10, 15 years later, I was sitting with a group of friends in a I kind of call it a brain trust. So it was other executives of their companies. And we were sitting in a meeting, and they said, well, what are your long-term goals? And I go, well, how long is long, right? Yeah. But I said, the thing that I really want to do, and I was in construction at that time, so I had nothing to do with education. I said, I want to impact schools on a broader level than what I did just in one school. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I want to have an impact on education. And so then they moved on to the next person. What do you want to do? And a friend of mine, and though I don't necessarily pay attention to horoscopes, but she wrote horoscopes, and she said, oh, I want to do your horoscope. And when she did that, she said, when you're in your 60s, you're going to have a huge impact on education. And wow. You're going to come into your own, and you are going to have a really leave a large footprint on the world around you, as large as you want to make it. Now, granted, I was in my 40s at the time when she said that. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to wait till I'm 60. And that's like a long time off, right? But I just kept that in my mind. And what triggers that, and why this is important, is that when you have a thought or a vision, you see things through a filter. And I said, so there's like sunglasses, right? That was my vision, sunglasses, my filter. And so you see opportunities that you might not have seen otherwise, because you've already said, well, this is long-term, where I want to go. I want to impact education. So I became involved with the educational arm of a professional association that I was a member of, which was the Building Industry Association of Southern California. And as a builder of homes, I did rehab projects, I did property management. I joined that organization, and lo and behold, they had an education committee. well, I might not have thought about that had I not said, you know, I'm going to take what I did when my kids were young and I want to grow that. I want to make it bigger and I want to have an impact. Well, here's a county-wide organization that has an education committee. And I went, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And I joined that. And I met other people that were in the building industry that had a passion for that. But I also met some folks from the Orange County Department of Education. And there was a particular lady, Lorraine Daggerford, who was the coordinator for the county school district in connecting businesses with education. And I connected up with her, and she and I became really, really close friends. And I shared my background, my experiences, and she kept encouraging me, you know, as being a business partner with the schools. And that idea, though, that if you have a thought or a vision or a dream or a concept, if you acknowledge it, you're going to see opportunity. I know I used to tell this story to the staff. When I went to go buy a new car, I already figured out what kind of car I wanted. I just didn't know what color it was.
Right.
And as I was driving around, all of a sudden I saw that car everywhere. Now I went down the same streets, the same freeway as I did the day before. But this time I saw the car and I went, oh, I don't like that particular color. Oh, that one looks good. And so it served a purpose for me in picking the color of the car that I was going to get. But the whole idea that I saw things that were around me that had been around me for years, but I never noticed them. And when I had an idea, a decision, an opportunity, then all of a sudden those things started popping up. I mean, I met Lorraine Daggerford. I could have just said, oh, nice, what a lovely lady, right? And let it go. But I didn't. I connected with her and I followed her and I learned with her. And at the time, she was one of the original founders of Vital Inc. But through that, she kept with Vital Inc. And I never saw that at the time as a career option. I was more interested in the building industry. And she connected me with their video department and other people there. And our professional association, the Home Builders Council, which was the educational arm of the Building Industry Association, we ended up producing videos on soft skills because that was something I felt really strongly about. And we did these little informational interviews with the business people and asking what soft skills they needed. And the Department of Ed made a whole series of these videos with the building industry. And they marketed them across the country. And so it was just a really interesting kind of, trajectory to be able to think about that and have so many years go by.
Yes, yes. Well, I remember that series of soft skills videos that you wrote and produced and packed along and got some of these corporations to agree to participate with us. It was a lot of fun. My son Jai was one of the hosts. Thank you for him be one of the hosts as well. And he's gone on to do some greater things in video production himself, as you well know.
Yes.
So we had so much fun working there with you. It was never, one day was never the same. It was always something different. Had to stay on our P's and Q's. One of the things, from you coming from being a custom home builder and in construction, and then going on into the education management industry, talk about that relationship, how it helped you to help so many students. I think it was something like 30,000 students that you were able to help through Vital Inc.
In a year. That was per year. Yeah,
right. That's right.
Yeah, 30,000 a year. It was interesting because taking the skill sets that I had in property management and construction management. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces, and you always have to be ahead of what's happening so you can be preventative as opposed to reparative. You do not want the walls to fall down. You want to prevent them from falling down. So
Yeah.
thinking, and a lot of people call it futuristic, or there's different names for it, but thinking ahead of where you are and where you want to be, and setting that objective, whether it's putting on an event, producing a video, building a house, renovating a house. That's what you need to do. You need to, I'm doing this now in my follow-up career to Vital Link, renovating houses. And you go in and you look at a piece of property and you don't see it for what it is, you see it for what it could be. And that is very similar to a young person. When you talk to the youth and you go, I remember going out and talking in classrooms and giving speeches to teenagers. And I would say, well, what do you like to do? What do you love to do? And raise your hand. Tell me what you like doing, what you love doing. And I will tell you 50 jobs that use that skill.
Yeah.
Now, they never made it to 50, thank goodness, because that's a stretch. But I wanted them to think big, and I would start listing off jobs, and finally they'd go, okay, that's enough, and then I'd take the next person. And even from the kid who thought, oh, I'm going to be a smart aleck and just say, oh, I like hanging out with my friends. And oh, you're a team player. You like being with other people. Well, there's lots of jobs out there where you're with a group and you're working as a team. And then I went on, there. And so thinking about where you're going, what's the possibilities for you, what are the opportunities for you, that was always core to working with the young people. And then also looking at them as an individual. They are not like their brother or sister necessarily. They may all have different skill sets, right? And what is it that's unique about you that you can bring to the table, and take that innate ability, innate talent, and interest, aligning those together, and then matching it up to what are the skills you need to do to build on that, to then have you go out into the world and be really not only successful, but happy in what you do, and love it and enjoy it and thrive in it, because it's something that you value, you love, you already have the innate ability, and now it's just honing that ability into refining it and building on it and nurturing for your success.
Yeah, so wonderful. And you remind me of the mission of Vital Link as to explore, discover, and connect to job, career, or employment career. That
and
really,
about yourself. Explore yourself, and
yeah. And so one of the things that I was so amazed that you came up with was design build, where the student learn how to build houses themselves. And so talk about that concept. How did you come up with that idea, and talk a little bit more about that?
So that wasn't exactly all my idea, but it was interesting because up in Sacramento, our professional association with the building industry, they had a school up there that was building these one-room buildings and doing it over a weekend. But it was just like a class project. And because with the building industry, and I was chairman of some committees, and at one time the president of the Home Builders Council, that educational arm, I met a lot of people up in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and I thought, oh, I really like this idea. Can we bring this to Orange County? What this one group was doing. And so I because I had connected with the Department of Education, they connected me with all the shop teachers. And these shop teachers, I called it, at that time, it was tissue boxes and birdhouses. That's what they were building. And they were just starting to expand that to something bigger. And so we brought that to those classes and those teachers, and they really, really liked it. And the teachers were enthused because most of the teachers came from industry as a part of their background. And so it was to them much more of for them personally, a challenge for them to be able to translate that into it. And we connected it through the Department of Education. And at the time, the superintendent, Bill Havermill, he really liked it. And we had a location where we were building these buildings. And it happened that we partnered up with Orange Coast College. And we partnered up with them. And then we outgrew that. And we moved over to a shopping center over in front of Home Depot. And I remember taking the superintendent of schools up in a forklift, and we went way up and we looked at all of the houses that the students were building. And he goes, this is tremendous. And the teachers, because of that, became so connected with the building industry, because at that construction site, the students over a weekend build a one-room building. And we had building inspectors there. We had the business people there. So they met all of the different business people. We had judges from all aspects of construction. And the teachers became connected with those business people. And that partnership really developed. And out of one of the school districts, out of Anaheim and through the Regional Occupational Program, North Orange County ROP, they said, we want to do a 4-year academy. We want to do a 4-year class of construction. And with that, from that construction competition grew an academy that started before there were really a lot of academies out there. It was a brand new concept. And they had some around the state, but it wasn't a universal thing in different subject areas. And so we brought in the business people, we brought in the educators, we would do these joint meetings and joint curriculum development. I remember spending hours aligning the curriculum with the state academic standards. And we ended up building a 4-year academy called the Building Industry Technology Academy. So not only from, and it's now probably 33, 34 years ago, we started that first design build competition, to today, where that academy is now statewide and all over, and the building industry has really adopted it as its own, and spreads it around all over. We have a lot of them in Orange County, and as I said, they're throughout the state. So you took an idea that was a small group up in Sacramento, and grew it into these academies and into a full-on program that became a model for other subject areas and other industry sectors.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, I remember seeing that over the years. And, there are so many things with your creative abilities, Kathy, that you brought to VitalLink and to Orange County education system. And one of the ones that one of my favorite ones was, and I can't remember the name of it, but where the students saw themselves.
Oh, my dream career.
What was the name of it again?
My dream career.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So powerful how they were able to see themselves in the future. I remember this one in particular where the guy saw himself in the military, and he was pulling himself out from, the barrio or the ghetto or whatever. He had uniform on. And then something special happened with that young man. Tell us that story.
Yeah, that dream career competition, by the way, Cliff, was one that we had, designed for Orange County. And the concept was take a photo of yourself depicting you as what you want to be in the future. And so you had to dress, you had to find backdrop, you had to be there. And it wasn't like a posy picture. It was you doing that effort. And this young man, he did it, but it was a split screen. So half of the picture was him in his, a depiction of him living in the barrio. And he was reaching up, and it was like, can I do it here? If I can go this way. There we go. He's reaching over to you. And then he dressed up in uniform. Well, actually, he took a picture and put his head on the body of a military person, reaching over and picking up him. And so it was like he was connected to himself. And it was so inspiring to see that picture. And then they had to write a little paragraph describing what it was their dream career and how they connected with that. So I shared it with a number of people, and this is a big part of having big things happen, is sharing these ideas. And there was this one lady who I shared it with, and she said, "Oh, wow, this is really exciting." She said, "I know about a camp that is being held in Florida, and it's done on an aircraft carrier, and the kids are there for a week."
Wow.
And they learn all about, the military, and they're in this boot camp for a week. And she contacted that camp, and the camp funded this young man to fly to Florida, stay there for a week in the camp on the aircraft carrier.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I went, what other things could we do for young people who are the winners? And we had one young man who wanted to be a digital media artist, and he wanted to work for Disney. Well, I knew some people over at Disney, and I went over there and I said, "Can we give this young man and his teacher a tour of the back lot?" And this was of the Disneyland in Orange County. And they said, "Sure, bring them over." So they got to see all of the backdrop, the inner workings of Disney and all of the graphic design departments. And we went through the back lot. And of course, I wanted to go on this one. I didn't get to go to the Florida one, but I did want to go to the Disneyland. And so did one of my staff members. And so she and I went, but we went through the back lot. We saw rehearsals. We saw a show that was the whole backdrop. It must have had 50 different screens, and each screen represented an element, and that all the digital art changed the whole backdrop. It was the beginning of that, kind of monitors with such large screens. And he got to see the show before anybody else. It hadn't even, shown to the public. And this just was so inspiring to him to see this. He met the people, he connected with them, and it allowed him to actually visualize and be there in a world. His teacher said it was, phenomenal, and it gave the teacher insight too, to be able to share with the other students and inspire them. But the My Dream Photo Contest, and the really weird thing about this contest, though, it was intended for Orange County, and I told the staff, okay, send it out to everybody. So they sent it out to everybody, but their definition of everybody and my definition of everybody wasn't the same. They sent it to educators throughout California.
Yes.
And so we were getting these pictures from these kids from all over the state. And so we ended up having to have a Northern California winner and a Southern California winner. And we continued that on both statewide. But talk about your dream, your vision growing without you knowing about it. When we got the first one, they said, where's this school? And we determined it was in Fresno, right? You know, and then they get another one from somewhere else. So you can expand and grow a vision beyond your own vision just by other people participating and supporting you.
That's right. It went viral, but in real life.
It did. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and we had to we judged hundreds of pictures.
I recall seeing those pictures in the office and every year getting those submissions, and such wonderful ideas and creative ideas that these students have. And that's what this show is all about. Kathy started out by talking about having a vision for what you want in your life and in your career, and then going after it. And so, like that young man that saw himself in the military, he actually got a chance to go to a military camp in Florida, of all places.
Yeah.
So I hope you're being inspired to hold on to positive expectations. There are so many things that we can just talk about for hours. You know, we spent so much time working together. But one of the things that I want to do is go back to the fact that you were a pilot at one time.
I was, yes.
I wonder you can see so far.
Yes, and while I'm up there in the airplane, I would, you know how, Cliff, I would control the weather.
Oh my, yes.
Yeah, we would never let it rain seriously on any of our events. So it put me closer to God when I was up there in the airplane, that's for sure. Yeah, I was in my 20s. I was 21 when I got my pilot's license. Yeah.
That's wonderful, wonderful. And then your granddaughter, Megan, such a wonderful family that you have. She's an aspiring filmmaker and producer. It's been so much fun working with you. Again, there are so many things. We wouldn't have enough time to talk about all the things that we did together at VitalLink, and I thank God for you again. Are there any closing words that you would have for our audience?
Yeah, I tell everybody, especially young people, to have a vision board.
Yes.
Create a document, and not just a digital one, but a physical one, and cut out pictures and glue them on this board, and make it, what is it that you want? Where do you see yourself? Who are people you admire? Things that would trigger you to be thinking about your future.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of that and creating that thing, and then look at it and change it if you want. You know, you get a new vision and something new comes up, you change it, you add to it as you get older and you move along in your education. You go, you know what, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was. This other thing seems more interesting. Don't get locked down prematurely. Always be open for that growth and that change. And then the other one would be, you know, I would mention this, Cliff, the nibble theory. And it's like, you don't have to take the whole bite all at one time to move forward. You can do it a little bit at a time. I mean, when I came on to VitalLink, we did not have 30,000 students that we were serving. It was a small group. It was just me as an employee. And we had teachers who were frustrated with the school system. And we just said, we're going to take this on a little bit at a time to actually transform something, and to think that the county was transformed in how they delivered career education. The state of California used the county, Orange County, as a pilot, a model for other school districts. And now there are things that we did that are state requirements. So, excuse me. So, but we didn't do that in one bite. It took 19 years, you know, to really move that along.
Yes, yes. Well,
and sure enough, in my 60s, there I was.
There you were. There you were. and you continued on and retired in 2020. Was it
2019? Yeah.
Yeah. 2019.
The end of August. Yeah. Yeah, August. So, yeah, and now I'm in my 70s and I'm reliving my 20s.
Yeah, you're building homes again and
designing, renovating houses. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have you on the show again to talk about what you're doing with renovation and your construction career. So, Kathy, again, thank you so much for being on our show. You have inspired me to continue to hold on to positive expectations, and I believe the audience is being inspired as well. So God bless you all. God love you.
Thank you.
So do we.
Thank you. Put those opportunity glasses on. You'll see new things. All right. Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.